The Boys Season 4, Episode 4, the episode that thousands of people are labeling as the best one yet. So after rewatching it several times, too many times, let me break down the secret reason The Boys episode 4x4 is the best one yet. And we'll do this by analyzing 5 things required for a perfect episode and how this episode hit every single one. And starting it off, sweethearts, the first element every single perfect episode needs is obstacles. Us humans need a reason to care about something, which is exactly why only 10 minutes into this special episode and it already clearly lays out the obstacles and stakes. Sister Sage cleverly tells us exactly how she's gonna ruin Starlight's image and how 100 million people are gonna hate on her now. Now I have to see what happens because I love Starlight. Or maybe I'm questioning, will the plan even work? How is Starlight gonna combat the smartest woman in the world? And these type of questions are what psychologically forces you to watch the rest of the episode. This might seem like a very obvious point, but a lot of the other Boys episodes lack these clear obstacles. For example, looking at episode 4x2, the first 15 minutes, the entire concern and stake was Butcher's well-being and his health. Aw, so sad, except for the fact that it's been a thing for a long time. His health has been at risk. The obstacle itself isn't urgent. And the exact same thing basically happened in episode 4x3. So already now you guys have learned something new. A perfect episode will have a strong and urgent obstacle that matters. But now let's talk about something that's even more important. The lore. Baby girls, episode 4x4, it's got lore. Yeah. 16 minutes into the episode and we get to visit Homelander's laboratory for the first ever time. We see the cold, harsh environment he grew up in, the horrific people that he surrounded himself with, and you probably didn't realize this, but this matters a lot because now it deepens your connection with Homelander. As you watch the episode, you might imagine him in this setting. You might picture how he got bullied or how he got burned inside this furnace, which is emphasized with this smart, intense editing. All these things come together to help us connect and engage with Homelander, which makes it a much higher quality episode. It's not surface level stuff. Let's get into the background. But let's take it a step further than character development. Lore itself is also simply interesting. It helps satisfy our curiosity behind who Homelander actually is. And you'll notice even besides Homelander, we got some crucial backstory about Kimiko right here. Another backstory which was focusing on the younger version of these characters, making it feel like we knew these characters for a lot longer than we actually did. That's the secret strategy right here. So already you guys can see how episode 4x4 is a very rich character episode, but it also brought in enjoyment. And that enjoyment comes from our next big element, meaningful side plots. Let me explain why. In this episode, Hughie is trying to save his dad's life, Starlight's entire reputation is at stake, and Butcher keeps seeing his dead wife, Becca. And you'll notice many other episodes either don't have as many side plots as this, or they aren't as meaningful. In this episode, I genuinely felt like I cared when I followed each character around in their respective plot. Hughie trying to save his father's life, obviously meaningful because we have dads, yay! Not me, but like... And Starlight's entire reputation side plot is so important because look what she does in this episode, something very, very new. Everyone's always crying about, oh my god, she only likes her eyes white, what does she really do? Are you sure about that, sweetheart? Is that really all she does? Because now this is something new. Look at this. Just watching her bash Firecracker's stupid face in is just so refreshing and new. I love it. And the third side plot of Butcher seeing Becca, now that one taps into her actual genuine feeling. And it does it because it's slowly hinting at the beginning of the end for Butcher. We're seeing elements of him slowly dying, and now we're seeing his dead wife. We had the instance where he literally almost died, but his wife brought him out. So he's really on the edge of it. And just overall, seeing his dead wife over and over shouting out and rooting for him, it's a very touchy, heartfelt subject. So the big summary you guys can note here is this episode's side plots were a lot more deeper to the heart. They weren't simply, let's go blackmail that person, let's kill Homelander because he's rude. Like, bruh, like sweetheart, what? But now let's get even deeper. Stick with me. Let's talk about 2 very clever ways this episode's storyline were further improved: outplaying and mystery plots. Firstly, when talking about the outplaying high IQ plot, this episode is the first time the show has ever done a high IQ moment. 42 minutes in, and you can see that Sister Sage pre-planned the Starlight and Firecracker attack. You can see the camera crew was in place and ready to capture this devastating move. It was so cool to watch because it was like Sister Sage was the puppet master, and everything that happened in the episode, she was controlling it and she knew about it. And the reason these high IQ moments are so engaging for us is because it psychologically gives us a full circle feeling where we can fully understand how everything got beautifully tied together. It's a beautiful moment. Sure, your guys' other favorite shows have moments like this where you're like, oh my god, when something big gets revealed, you're like, oh, now it all connects. Before we talk about element 4, which is shock factor, another beautiful scene that needs to be mentioned is Hughie's mother reveal, where you can see Compound V is injecting injected into his dad, except Hyugi didn't put it in. And we see a curious womanly face stare at that liquid being injected. Hyugi's mother. It was a beautiful scene to add in the end because now us viewers are automatically hooked again. Now we're like, okay, before I was a little bit suspicious, but this proves it. Who is this lady and how does she have compound V? Another really smart move that kept us thinking even past the episode ending. I'm gonna be honest, baby girls, enough yapping. Let's talk about some real shock. Let's talk about some gore. And now since we're talking about blood and gore, let me get blacked out. Let's get serious, bro. It's time to go emo. If an episode wants to be memorable, it must have some sort of crazy artistic scene. And you guys already know the boys do a great job at doing vulgar scenes, but in this episode, something was very different. The gore level went up a whole notch and you don't even realize why. But let me explain why episode 4x4 is easily the most shocking graphic episode yet. Everyone loves talking about the Herogasm episode and how that's the one with the most gore and craziness, but I fully disagree because the difference is context. In the episode Herogasm, the entire thing was a twisted party filled with sick, weird-minded people, so the behavior was at least normal. Herogasm, fun, twisted, weird orgy party. Professional lab scientist room. That's the difference. Homelander commands his old mentor to do twisted things to himself in a professional crowd of co-workers. It's a work setting, which makes the uncomfortable feeling in this atmosphere so much stronger. And let's not also forget the lobotomy scene 51 minutes in, where the Deep gets freaky once again, but this time not with the octopus, with Sister Sage's brains. He literally scrapes out the inside of her brain. And although that was kind of like a funny but gory scene, the last minute of the episode, that right there was everything but funny. It's a very scarring scene that shows every single person that was in the lab room slayed to death. I'm not even sure if I can show it, but there's these blood stains, the bodies piled up, and the way Barbara is just looking around in fear. It's wow, it's insane. And this was followed up by the most artistic scene of the entire show, this clip right here of Homelander being all bloodied up. And this scene is so important for the entire show because for the first time ever, we see Homelander's true form come out. Not the fake smiling one, not the movie acting one, the one that's actually hidden under the surface. This right here is his scariest form, and I'm glad we finally get to see hints of it release. It made the entire episode that much crazier, and you know what, just because I love you guys and you guys all subscribed, obviously, let's throw in another point. This episode was so great because it had a really high amount of great acting. Going back to the Homelander laboratory scenes, other typical episodes have maybe 1 to 2 total minutes of great acting from Homelander. But in this one, the entire time Homelander was tormenting these poor people, he was showing off that sinister, uncomfortable acting. I wasn't on the edge of my seat for just a minute or two in a high intense scene. I was on it for the entire time they were in the lab, the whole time. Like, I already made an entire acting review of the whole cast right here, but even in this episode, looking 17 minutes in, look at the unnatural eyebrow tweaks, the slight cheek twitching, the eyes watering up in such a scary way. Like, he very, very well performed here. And baby girls, putting these 5 elements together and you have a genuinely insane episode. I love you guys. Make sure you subscribe to amazing, talented videos here. Other than that, deuces.